Welcome back to another installment. Today I want to talk a little bit about, understanding how counselling works and really understanding how your own thought patterns occur and why that's important to help you. If you think about counselling, right, no counsellor, no psychologist, no psychiatrist ever was able to do anything specific for a person to get them out of there. All they are really is like coaches trying to help them think their way into a better space using different techniques, understanding a bit about the psychology, understanding how habits form. I personally, I'm not aligned to one kind of modality of any kind of psychology because I've worked out over the years for me that it's what works for that person. Each individual's different. We all respond differently, and the patterns that we've developed, as much as the way we develop them is quite similar, how we interpret them, how we then do things is very individualistic. And essentially, for me, when I was working with people in a counselling session, it's about understanding the principles behind how they form their thought habits and then how to use those same principles to change things that they're not necessarily happy with. So there's a really good book called You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and basically he describes how we develop thought patterns. So a lot of people don't necessarily know this. When I run team sessions and I talk to them about, do you know how you think and how you make decisions and how that whole process works and how you develop those patterns? And most people don't know that. So I'm just going to give you a very quick snapshot of exactly what that process looks like. So when you're a baby, obviously you're taking everything very unconsciously. You don't understand language. You're just making sense of the world as it's happening. So what happens is you have a thought. The thought then, the brain then creates a neurotransmitter. So the neurotransmitter, so I'll kind of use my hands here to illustrate the point. So you've had the thought, it's up here in your brain. The brain then creates a neurotransmitter. That neurotransmitter is obviously something physical in your brain, and it sends a message down to your body. And then your body then reacts by having a feeling. So this is how our feeling and our thoughts really interact with each other. The brain then generates the thought, and that's matched by the way you're feeling. So your brain and your body are starting to calibrate with each other, so to speak. It then creates a chemical message, and that allows you to think the way you were just feeling. So how you think, how you feel, how you think, how you feel, kind of respond with each other. And this pattern's happening as we're learning new stuff. And it happens every day as we get older as well, because we develop patterns. The brain and the body are designed in a way that, you as you do things more repetitively, you do it easier, and it leaves more, it needs less energy to do the same stuff. So like if you think of when you were driving for the first time, you're constantly thinking about all this stuff. And then as you become more experienced as a driver, you don't even think about it. You can drive for hours and not think about it because it's no longer a big effort for your brain. You're just kind of doing it on autopilot, which is what it's designed to do. And 99% of the time, it's great for what we want to achieve as human beings. But when we get stuck, like say if someone with PTSD has had a bad experience and that pattern has now become a problem for them, that's when you want to break that pattern and do something else. Anyway, the rest of the way it works is you create the same pattern of thinking, right? So allow you to think and feel and understand that that's happening. And then over time it becomes hardwired. As I said, you want to be able to do it easier. So the neurons in your brain are wiring and firing over and over, and it creates a shortcut. When it's first happening, it's wiring and firing, and it hasn't quite melded together as a shortcut. But as you do things more often, the same thinking process, it becomes more of a habit. And so, like I said, it's designed to be obviously good for us, but we can get stuck as well. That same process can actually hurt us. So what happens is, as it becomes hardwired, your body now becomes conditioned to be its own mind and decision maker. So we make a lot of decisions by how we feel about things. I mentioned in a previous installment a guy called Elliot who didn't actually have any emotions, part of a brain issue he had. And essentially, he couldn't make any decisions. We have this view that we make decisions very rationally, but emotion actually is a big part of it. And if you don't have that feeling and understand that, you won't necessarily make decisions at all. So understanding that process of how your thought patterns and how your body interact is very important in how you then try to think your way out of a bad situation. So let's say you've got PTSD, you've had the bad experience, let's say a gun pointed at your head, and now it's over, the danger's actually gone, and now you're thinking about it, you're ruminating, you're going home, you're having dreams about it, you think about what could have happened. So all these things, as much as the danger's actually gone, you're still keeping it in your head. So no matter which way you look at it, and it might sound quite harsh when I say this, is when you're going through some issues, 99% of that is you, right? Something might have happened to you, but now how you're thinking about it, whether it's a memory of that event or you conjuring up possibilities that may have happened, that's on you. So understanding that you're actually going through the same process of the brain and the body, when you think about that same thing over and over, and it takes you to a bad place in terms of, you know, getting stuck or getting sad or getting angry, you're creating that now. Yes, there was an event or events or, you know, those things, but if it's not actually still happening to you and you're just thinking about it now and you're going back, it's the memory of that event and you have control over that. You have to understand, right? So if you're thinking about stuff that happened, let's say years ago, could have been bad, not saying, you know, not trying to sugarcoat it, bad events, but you're now thinking about those bad events and you're bringing them back up. You don't have to. You can do things with it, but be conscious of what you're doing and really thinking the pattern through. Use that pattern to your advantage rather than your disadvantage, where the pattern's kind of happening, you're thinking about all this horrible stuff that happened and, you know, things you might have lost or feel, whatever it is, but understanding that you can break that pattern by putting in another pattern or changing that pattern and going, okay, when I think about this cascade of things happen in my body, my brain talks to my body, I feel sad, I tell my brain I'm feeling sad, my brain now makes me feel sad, and then I get stuck there. Whereas if I'm going, okay, I want to interrupt this process, I want to interrupt this whole time continuum of events, instead of it just going boom the way it has been the last 10 times I thought about it, I want to break the pattern. So by using what I call blue brain, that proactive part of the brain, I'm breaking that, I'm analysing things, I'm saying, okay, what can I do differently? How can I do this differently? Is actually being proactive about breaking your own pattern and putting in another pattern that's actually more beneficial for you. Hope that works. Cheers. Bye.